recorded. I'm going to sit next to each other during every meeting because it would go off the rails.
My kid always loved veggies and all over pizza, and then he had just cheese pizza.
There's
A couple of weeks ago with his friends at his friend's house, and it was like only cheese pizza.
Extra cheese.
This is what Eric's proposing.
Along the river walk? Wow, look at that.
Let's build them right up on.
That church too, he's making out of downtown Grand Rapids.
It's gonna be on the little island,
On the island.
King Milling Island.
A king million
That's,
You know, they
I
have all those
do
little,
know they own everything.
They only-
all those little things in the river.
Okay.
All right, ready? Give us a quick overview and then we'll ask you some tough questions.
Sure. Eric Bartkus, I'm a resident here at 215 West Main. Lived here for almost 2 years. Been a Lowell Township resident for 25 years. Love living in the town here. My wife and I started the Ability Weavers business downtown 5 years ago, and that's been a great success. That's a different story though. This is David Reed, a longtime friend that's been in construction for many years. And our proposal, he's going to be leading the actual construction of it, and I'm going to be helping out with that. But so our proposal is to beautify and create a businesses that will bring more people downtown, keep them downtown, just energize the area, and really use the Riverwalk and the river view, excuse me, the riverside view to its fullest. It's just, I mean, it's a prime piece of real estate. So we're going to propose 2 different businesses in there. Number 1 for the city's benefit, number 2 for employment. My wife and I started the Ability Weavers for employment, and that's just true to our hearts, what we want to do, and we really see this pizza sandwich shop as being able to employ a lot of people. And there's labor struggles, and I'll touch on that in a little bit, but for the long term, we see the best use for the city of this property as a gathering place, an outdoor meeting place, a retail section on the north side, and then a sandwich pizza type establishment.
Mike, can you scroll?
Sure.
That?
That is a picture of what I envision. The current.
Sorry. He doesn't want to.
I have.
You could take a screenshot and then go into your photos really quick.
Good point.
And then just, okay.
I have.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, photos.
A couple of pictures. I don't have enough. You'll have to share.
That's
But
worth
Oh, let's do this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So the south section, I would like to see as a pizza sandwich shop. It's not a restaurant. It's going to be a small, kind of like a deli or takeout, or there'll be some seating to it, but it's not going to be a full service restaurant. It is a, like I told the Lowell Light Board, kind of like a mini Oliveras where there's outdoor seating so you can take your pizza or your sandwich and then go outside with your family and eat it on the covered patio. So that's really one of the key things. I'd like to take this current slab and level that, put up a pergola with covering so it's very pleasant out there, get rid of all the chain link fence and all that, and make it very attractive. You can see we're going to put new doors in, new glass windows in the front. We're going to make it look like a nice place to be. And then moving on to the north section, which is the smaller section, I'd like to lease that out to some sort of retail establishment. There's oodles of places that would love to lease that, and I don't think any trouble leasing that. By chance, if there was my wife's business, we'd expand into that, but I'd rather have something new there.
So your plan right now is just to white box that, finish it, and then wait to see who decides to want to lease it?
Not for the north
Yeah, the north
retail.
property, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. The south restaurant, we're gonna completely finish that with pizza ovens, and whether it's pizza or sandwich, not exactly sure. Let's just say pizza ovens and tables inside, and then the outdoor seating. I've talked with the owner of Oliveras, who has been interested in the city in the past. He's continuing to be interested in the city. He was all over this. So I'd love to see Oliveras or Vitalis come in and take this over. And he was very interested in that, with the exception of right now, the labor market is bad. So he is not currently on board, but long-term, he would love to be there. Name is Ricardo B.L.E.
Is he still building houses?
He's building houses.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know Ricardo.
Yeah, he said his times were so tough, he had to build houses.
That's
so.
what he told us that too.
Yeah. But I will start it, the business, the eatery, but I'd like to turn that over to an Oliveras or a Vitalis.
If they're having trouble manning it, what do you feel your capability is going to be of manning this kitchen and having 8 or 9 employees, whatever it might take? Eric?
Good question. I'm going to run it, so I'm going to lead it. I'm part-time an engineer, so I have a part-time that I can, in the evenings, I can lead this. And we've had no trouble finding 13 employees for our rug business, so I'm confident that I can find people. And that's really why I'm thinking more of a pizza deli type establishment, so it doesn't need full service restaurant. It's going to be somewhere between Three Brothers Pizza and an Oliveras.
Okay.
All right, question time, I can start. The city's vision for the Line Shack is that its restoration will be a catalyst project on the west side of the Flat River, thus revitalizing the area. In essence, the city is looking for a unique and dynamic interest for the Line Shack. Why do you believe that your firm can provide this, and what would you do to execute it?
First of all, I see a pizza sandwich shop with an outdoor seating along the river as a natural draw to bring people downtown. There's nothing else like getting a good pizza and having it on the patio to bring people into town to compare it with. I could have proposed retail shops, but that's just limiting so much. I think there still is a need in Lowell, even with the new restaurants, for some, what I just described. I think it will become a destination and an exciting place for people to bring their families.
Oh, that leads me
You're
to-
up.
Number 2, what are your cost estimates to fully convert this building? There's a few questions here. Have you completed a preliminary pro forma for this project? And then once you answer those, I'll go to the rest.
There's a lot of work that needs done on that building. It's in bad shape. The floor needs completely redone, and David can speak to this because we toured it. It's going to be at least $80,000, and costs always are higher than you envision, especially with some of the glass front doors were very expensive. But it's at least $80,000, probably closer to $100,000.
And then, has your firm completed a project of this nature? What percentage of this project are you anticipating to seek financing for?
Okay, good question. I've talked to MEDC, Dana, and she, and I've got quite a lesson on how that process works. They are very much into the mixed use, so that's why I'm proposing 2 different establishments. So I don't need MEDC money to do this, but if ever we needed a liquor license or something larger, I would be tapped out. I would need their help. So of course, I'm going to talk with them if I was to purchase the building. I would talk with MEDC, but I have the resources to do it on my own.
So currently, you don't plan to have a liquor license?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't. I'm not sure I want a liquor license, I want it to be family friendly, but I know that brings in a lot of business, so I'm not gonna say it's some down the road, it might be a natural fit, but to pay $70,000 or $80,000 for a liquor license, I won't have that. Similar things that I've done, I've purchased 517 East Main, which is the old Alpha Family Center, which was in a complete, the exterior was a complete wreck, and I completely remodeled the outside of it, new siding, new windows, and some new interior work, and I've successfully leased that out. I purchased, my wife and I purchased the 215 West Main apartment upstairs, which was in very bad shape, and we went through a 2-year renovation to rebuild that. I spent over a year refinishing 150 feet of brick and things, and it's now a really nice place. So I'm not afraid of work, we're not afraid of work, and Dave will tell you a little bit of that in a minute. But I've refinished old buildings. I know what's involved with asbestos and painting and concrete and that sort of thing, so we're not afraid of this. And that's that.
Okay. The city of Lowell is looking for a tenant with the ability to complete the project and to have a sustainable operation. Please tell us how you will work with the city to ensure that you can adequately fund this project and continue to have sustainable operations.
Well, I'm a lifer here in Lowell. My wife and I, we're going to be here for a long time. We've tried to run a very upright business in our Ability Weavers. So we're honest and hardworking people and try to be as active as we can to the community. As far as resources, I've had the bank accounts to show you that I have the money to do it. And that's it.
Forgive us if you've already addressed some of this. We're trying to ask the same questions to everybody.
Sure.
Just so that.
Yeah, it's fair.
This is not a pleasant undertaking for us.
I'm sure.
It's tough.
It is tough.
It's tough.
It is.
Speaking for myself, I won't speak for everyone.
Yeah, you've got a hard job to pick the right business for this site.
Yeah. We're focusing on trying to create a sense of place for downtown district by enhancing our natural assets and creating a walkable community. What's this mean to you, and how do you embrace this in your project? Have your previous projects embraced this idea in other communities? Well, you've done it here. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, we're going to work hard to make that building as nice looking as possible, as inviting. We're not going to, I mean, what you see there is pretty expensive to do, and we're not just going to paint it and hang our shingle out and say we're open for business. So this, I can guarantee you it's going to look nice when we're done, and David can show you some of the work he's done in the past, but I live probably the closest to the building of anyone in the city. So if anyone, if anyone wants it to look nice, I mean, that's the first thing I look at every morning, so it's going to look nice. David, do you want to, I'm sorry,
Sure.
I'm giving you a chance to speak.
That's all right. I'm David Reed. I live at 521 Howard Street. Not much longer, because we're going to be moving closer here. And I've been involved in commercial construction for 30 years or so. 30, closer to 35 now. But I brought a few pictures of things that I've done recently. This was in Lansing at a building that we had. I was part of a group of buildings that used to be Delta Properties in Grand Rapids, and they had one building in Lansing, and it got sold to a cannabis operation. So I stayed on there for a little while to get them going on building, and these are a few things I did. I did the electrical conduit bending, and then there's a finished grow room in there that's About 6,000 square feet.
Were you involved in, I was in your apartment before you guys, I've been up there, I know what a mess it was. Were you part of
I
that
wasn't
or?
part of his.
Okay.
Nope. That's a beautiful job, that's for sure. So the lighting in that door room is with the high pressure sodium lights on, so it's hard to see.
Yeah. So you had to redo the floor too?
Yeah, it was all, it was an old industrial building, so everything was pretty black from years of smoke and everything else in the building. We cleaned everything, painted everything white, sanded floors and epoxied them. So that was a big project we were working on. It's a 565,000 square foot building. Just to give you an idea, we brought in
That's a lot of water.
9 megawatts of power into that building.
That's what we need.
I know, I've been
That's what we're working on.
The whole city here, so.
So one of the many reasons we're partnered together is he knows all about, for instance, strengthening the back wall, which is moved. That needs work, the sunken floor, the big hole in the back wall. I mean, that's not for the faint of heart. So David, he's the man for that.
All right. Do you have any legal issues that are pending or adjudicated on your firm or principals?
No.
A double no. The city of Lowell is a public body, and in dealing with the public body, transparency is the utmost concern. There's a strong possibility that the process moving forward will be highly scrutinized by the public. Is this a concern for your firm, and how do you plan on addressing this as we move forward?
I welcome that. I would love to involve the neighbors and other citizens in Lowell to be, to guide, give me some suggestions and that sort of thing. So I'm not afraid of criticism or scrutiny or that sort of thing at all.
Thank you.
And do you have any questions of us, Eric?
I do. First of all, in your proposal, you said that there was going to be an agreement with whoever purchases this, and an agreement, a purchase agreement. One of the things I'm concerned about is that whoever you allow to purchase this, I hope it doesn't become a flipping opportunity. So for instance, I know the high school got flipped a few times in a short period of time, and from seller to seller to seller, and it just sat there. And then each time, I think at least 3 times, and each time I think the price at least doubled. And then finally Todd Shaw got that. And so I'm hoping that in your agreement that you write with whoever buys this, that you won't allow a quick sale to flip it for a profit. And to someone that you can't control, and then it's not in the city's best interest.
Yeah, that's something that we do have to talk about as a council. We would want to have a development agreement in place
Good.
to prevent that.
Great.
It is kind of hard when you do sell a property though. That is there are, clawback provisions. Clawback provisions are, to me, is the most important thing. My bigger concern is not necessarily it being flipped. My bigger concern is that we enter into an agreement with somebody and then come to find out they don't have the means to do the project and it sits.
Right.
My experience, I've had these experiences come up in the past, and I've had clawback provisions to protect us, but in those instances it was lease to purchase options. This is not that case, so it's something that we as a council and we do have to discuss that, how we want to structure that. But it is very important that that's part of this, because the worst thing that can happen is if you flip a property or you sell a property and for a development it doesn't happen. It just
Right.
so.
Right. Good. Yeah. Good. I'm glad you're all over that. That was my
Yeah,
one
yeah.
concern.
I'm definitely concerned about that.
And then my second concern is that I know that at least 2 of the proposals have been residential, and I don't know the scope of it, but it would be multi-story. And my question to the city is, if you allow a large, like say a 3-story building, that's gonna totally damage the view of all the other potential apartments in my block. So there's at least 10 apartments that could be in my block, and, you know, mine included. And there's plans, Dr. Reagan has plans for at least 5 apartments. Marty has plans for 2 apartments. And so I guess my question to you is, are you considering the impact on the property values of all of those owners if there's a high-rise right there at the water's edge?
I asked the question to one of the developers about that too, about the view and what are you gonna lose? You know, and you know, Until you just mentioned, I'm not even talking about it a whole lot, but something to consider. That's gonna affect other potential people buying and finishing their apartments over there.
And I mentioned this at the board meeting, is residential's good, and there's a place, we need residential, but there's at least 10 apartments that are waiting to be redone on the main street, that I would hope that you would fill those first before you put up this structure that would block the view of 10 apartments. So I just would ask you to think about that.
Well, unless I'm missing something, the alignment of your east-west buildings, I haven't given it any thought, because in my mind, I don't see those buildings as having a river view. And,
My block,
yeah,
oh, we have the best view. We, Dr. Reagan and Marty and I have the Main Street Inn have the best view.
well, I've stayed at the Main Street Inn a couple times when we lost power, before we were Lowell like power. I guess I've never thought of those as having a river view. Something to consider.
Yeah, I stood at the angles of all the businesses from the edge of Dr. Reagan down to the Lowell Arts Council, and if the full width of the property was a high-rise, it would really inhibit the view of the potential apartments.
All right, any other questions for Eric? Anything else for us?
When is your timeline to make a decision?
Sure, so the council today could possibly have me put a resolution together. And once the resolution's in place, it has to sit for 20 days before the city council can act on it. And if the city council, when that does happen, the city council has to approve the sale of the property with 4 votes in the affirmative. And then from there, then we can start the process of selling it and putting a development agreement in place.
Okay, great.
So the 20-day period is going to be obviously going to take the time, but we think that the timeline, whoever we turn this to, could probably be relatively quick.
Good, okay, great. My last thought is on parking. The pizza and takeout and sandwich shop is all in the evenings. It's not going to affect the parking with the backwater and the breakfast at all. The Ripple, that's still both will compete for parking spots, but I think with all of the spots along the light and power building, I think there's plenty of parking for both establishments.
Yeah, there's 141 parking spaces within the 400-foot radius. So a 10 to 15 cars isn't going to impact that. And then downtown, there's 554 spaces in the entire downtown district. So I believe there's adequate parking.
I would imagine a lot of your business will be walk up to.
Right.
People coming from other shops or stores or social district or whatever they're doing. But
Great. Well, thank you for letting us take your
Sure.
time, and
Appreciate it.
wish you the best.
Thanks for coming in early
Thank you.
too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, next one's coming at 3:30.